All right, well, it's Taco Tuesday, and we're going to talk about a little Boris Johnson activity here. Looks like we're green on sound. Cameron, give me a little chit chat.
I'm chit chatting.
There we
We should probably
go.
do this when we're not live, though.
Yeah, we should, but I didn't think about it, and now we're good to go. Plus,
Right?
these guys appreciate what we're doing here. I mean, we got another subscriber. Yeah,
Like, share, and subscribe.
no shit. The most important thing you can do as far as helping us out is sharing, right? I mean, as much as we want you to subscribe, well, if you're seeing my face at this time of day, I'm sure you have. But Gavin, share, share, share. Put put us on your Facebook, your Twitter, your whatever, your Insta pictures. I get us out there. All right. So here's what we're talking about this morning. We're talking about big wins. I kind of would rather do this on Thursday. This smells like a Totar Win. Uh in fact, let me just go ahead and hijack it.
This guy so much sack. He protect, he attack. This why no more homo erotic rocket ranches. Got it? Got it. Oh jeez. So much wang.
And what's the Totar Win? Boris Johnson. This guy.
Oh.
This guy right here. He won. He won the general election. He's the new Prime Minister of England. And he didn't just win, guys. This was such a crushing win. It is the largest Conservative majority win in British history since Margaret Thatcher. So we're talking almost 30 years since the Brits went this conservative. Now, we need to do a whole show on the difference between conservatives in the UK versus the US, because what the British conservative is conservative of is the tradition of government in Great Britain, whereas what the US conservative is supposed to be conservative of is actually the very liberal document, the Constitution, which, under the original meaning of the word, not the nouveau the newspeak, the frickin' 1984 newspeak meaning of the word liberal, but the original meaning of the word liberal, which is pro-liberty. The Constitution was an absolute triumph of liberty by assuming that people had rights and that the government should be prevented from infringing on those. Now, this guy, though, he is very, very, very like Trump in so many ways. And it's interesting because I think this actually colors a move toward one another for the conservatives of England and America. Because there's something that the two different types of conservatives have. Those that are conservative of the monarchy in England and those that are conservative of the Constitution in the United States. One thing that they can share commonly is that they are conservative of the nation itself. America first, Britain first. What won him the election, by and large, is the handling of the Brexit maneuver. So here's the thing that's most important to understand about what happened with Brexit. What happened with Brexit mirrors very closely what's happening in the United States with impeachment right now. The people voted, and the people in power, the government, didn't like the vote, and so they fought back against it. In Great Britain, the people of the United Kingdom voted to leave the tyrannical globalist
EU.
I was looking for another adjective, but I'm just ill-suited apparently this morning to adequately describe the danger of the European Union. Please understand, the thing that the European Union is the thing that was in attempt and caused World War I. World War I was fought to stop a thing like the European Union from happening, for fears that a thing like the European Union would be a thing like the European Union. Okay? And they taught, you're taught in school that the World War I was started when the powder keg was sparked off by the assassination of the politician. I forget his name now, but what World War I and World War II ultimately were about was about resisting globalism. Because make no mistake, the thing that Hitler was attempting to do was to establish a total world domination, to establish a single one world rule under the flag of socialism.
Yes. Japan could have Asia, and Italy could have Africa. Hitler would take Europe, and if they controlled all that, they'd be able to squeeze out the Americas. That was...
Oh, yeah, Archduke Ferdinand, thanks. I should have remembered that. This fire is out of control. I want to burn this city, burn this city.
And then just to back up, Gavin said we should be looking at what's happening in Virginia. Sir, we are looking at what's happening in Virginia, and that will be discussed on Friday show.
Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy. The Boogalonians are concerned.
So, okay, just real quick, I gotta say, because, humor is what it is. Boris Johnson looks like what happens if you design a Muppet while you're drunk. Like, if he wasn't wearing the helmet, you'd be able to see his hair. And you thought Bernie Sanders had crazy hair? Man. I didn't know pictures of Boris Johnson with his hair comb existed.
They do, but they are Washington, though. There's
there's another mirror here. It's not just that Brexit was handled terribly and that the people voted wrong and all of that. I think this actually bodes really well for Trump in 2020, and this is what I mean. Boris Johnson's primary opposition was Jeremy Corbyn, and Labour has always been a socialist left-wing type of party in Britain, but it's resisted the urge to go super far left for a long time. Like, you had Tony Blair, who was Prime Minister of England for practically ever, and he was a big ally of with the whole, weapons of mass destruction thing. And while from a history perspective, that actually doesn't speak well of him, the point is Labour's enjoyed a lot of power in the UK for a long time. So Labour trying to reascend with Jeremy Corbyn, who, it's not an exaggeration to say that the guy was a commie. Like full-blown, just about as far left as a British politician could possibly get. And I think the two things that really made the difference for the British voter were, hey, I thought we kind of already decided this whole Brexit thing, and it sucks that it's still a problem. But then you had the additional factor of, do we want communism or do we want not communism? And I think that's going to be the same thing that's going to happen here in this country. I still don't think Joe Biden gets the nomination because as this goes on, apparently they're going to have another debate this week and
They're
all of
going
that
to have a
stuff.
debate while Star Wars is opening. And now, y'all, I'm not going to see the new Star Wars movie for the reasons we've discussed before, but come on. How out
Yeah,
of touch can you get?
yeah. I saw somebody actually point out if you want to know what it's like to be an elite and think you're more important than everything else, schedule a debate for the weekend Star Wars opens. Like, but what's going to
Okay.
end up happening is one of the far left people, or one of the people who's playing at being far left, is going to end up getting the nomination. And then it is going to be such a clear contrast. And it's again, hey, America, you can have socialism or you can have not socialism. And a lot of people, even a lot of left wing people, are like, I don't think I want to go full socialist. I don't want that to happen.
Because let's be clear, you are safer. Things that are safer than voting for socialism include voting for state sanctioned cannibalism.
Oh, but yeah, like this is not something anybody saw coming. Oh, the polls and Twitter and all of that. And speaking of, okay, talk about the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Because of the way Silicon Valley has geared itself to be pro left and anti right, and because so many of the blue check marks on Twitter, for example, are lefties, Hollywood was always red. Go check out Rageaholics rant on that. Um, it creates a perception that everybody's further to the left than they really are. And then when the vote actually happens, no, never mind, we're not as far left as you thought we are. And I would even go back to 2016 and point to Trump's election. There were very few of the official types that thought Trump could win. And it wasn't actually until election night when Chris Wallace actually asked the question. I mean, as polls were closing, hey, you know, maybe Trump could win. What if Trump wins? And then, a few hours later, Trump won. And I think something very similar happened in England because everybody that had a platform and a presence and all of those words that the SJWs like to use. Well, Boris Johnson is evil. He's Hitler. He's all of their usual pejoratives, and yet he wins. And not only does he win, but the conservatives just, I mean, good grief, they smashed it. But I'm sorry, I have a small child in the background. I'm somewhat distracted.
Um, and this is very interesting. Basically, okay, so the BBC has an official charter to remain politically neutral. That's a lie. They have not. They have not in any way remained neutral. The BBC is as far left as CNN at least. And it looks like Boris wants to shut that shit down. Because here's the thing. Americans, if you don't already understand this should scare the hell out of you. The way the BBC operates, it is as if the equivalent would be if in the US, CNN was exactly the way it is, but it was funded by taxes, and not just any taxes. It's a television license, which means that unless you are paying for CNN directly, you can't you can't have a television in your house. Or, I suppose more accurately, you can't have television service in your house. So if you're not paying the licensing fee, you can't watch television. The BBC exists in this way. It is funded, looks like 75% of its revenue. That's insane. Do you know how much revenue is involved in advertising, which the BBC does in fact do? So think about the amount of money that CNN makes in advertising, and then 3 times that much money is paid into it by taxes. And those taxes are levied at gunpoint against the threat that you cannot have television to watch at all. Right? So, Boris apparently wants to shut that shit down.
Yeah, no more licensing fee for your TV, basically.
This could be huge because it would effectively...
It would effectively mean Doctor Who would have to go back to being a good show in order to stay on the air.
Right? It's not... see, this one requires some thinking. Because it kind of is and kind of isn't a form of censorship. While simultaneously, it kind of is and kind of isn't a form of repealing existing censorship. Sort of.
I don't necessarily think it's that nuanced. I mean, if you're going to repeal a licensing fee, you're going to broaden people's ability to do the thing that no longer has a licensing fee. So, I mean,
that's true. I mean, one of the things we've talked about on this channel. I'm 100% for this. I think it deserves a little bit of thought to better understand my own position. But quite simply, I'm a firm believer that all licenses are essentially... Okay, here's how a license works. I come and I point a gun at you and I say, hey, there's a thing you're allowed to do. If you give me money, then I'll let you do that thing. A license is 100% an entity with a firearm and the threat to murder you, decreeing that you are not allowed to exercise a liberty or a freedom that you possess inherently as a natural creature, and then selling that right back to you.
Yeah, it's a gatekeeper tax. It's got to pay the troll to cross the bridge.
Right. Licenses serve 3 purposes. They artificially bar entry to markets, which in turn artificially increases the prices in that market. That's why medicine is so expensive. That's a major reason that healthcare is so expensive. Not just in America, but around the world. Everywhere in the world that there is socialized medicine, that medicine is still ludicrously overpriced because of licensing fees and regulatory administrative fees, of course. Yes, Gavin, licenses are hostage situations. That's exactly right. Your rights are held hostage, and you can exercise them if you pay the ransom. That's what a license is. And the other thing that a license serves to do is it's just another revenue collection system for a government. Guys, you should be afraid that the Democrats want to increase your taxes to some 70, 80% or some madness. But let's be real. If you're paying close attention, once you've paid your income tax, your property tax, tax on gas, I smoke cigarettes, so there's tax on that, sales tax, and before you even start talking about death tax and the like, more than half your income is consumed by taxes in the United States. That is doubly true in every pseudo-socialist country on the planet. Wow, this kind of went off in a direction I hadn't intended. We didn't even get to impeachment yet. We're not going to talk about impeachment much. We're already at 20 minutes. We got to get done for today. But I do want to throw this out there real quick. Because tomorrow is the vote on impeachment. They're going to vote on impeachment in the House. This thing has been... It was... Russia, Ukraine, boogaloo, second run, and go! It was just, okay, we're failing. Okay, now let's do it really fast before anybody knows how stupid this is. And in light of the Horowitz report that basically says flat out James Comey and his ilk and his tribe have committed grievous offenses against justice and the Justice Department and the people of the United States of America in order to create the shadow of the question of impeachment. I have this question. Since we know officially that James Comey and his people on the impeachment question, on the Russia probe, and also on the Clinton email investigation, since we know that they were completely biased, just straight up bought and paid for by the Democrats, why are we not already taking another look at the Hillary Clinton email investigation? Because, guys, let's not get it twisted. There's absolute evidence that she committed several crimes which were being investigated by that. And then, in the course of the investigation, she committed at least 5 separate instances of straight-up perjury. %, straight-up perjury. Undeniable. Incontrovertible. She committed perjury at least 5 times in the course of the investigation. And that's about all I've got for you. Cameron, you got anything else today?
Yeah, wake up, go to work or school, whatever, but be productive.
Yeah, be safe out there. Good, bad, right, or wrong, damn it, we're going to do something today. And that's all I've got.
Yeah, that's all I've got.
Later, brother.
Later.